All right, give me a minute to get this set up. And while I do the setup, I'm going to explain what happened with Twitter Spaces today because it affects our ability to do Twitter Spaces. So, really quick, at the beginning of this, the first things first, if you want to fast forward to where we're talking, you can do that. And fast forward past the intro if you're watching the replay. Though, if you're not watching the replay and you're live, I usually give it about a minute or two to connect and for people to join if they want. And that way I don't have to repeat things and stuff. So the useless part of this stream will be me telling you that Twitter had banned users able to access Twitter Spaces. So they had to pull our ability to do Twitter Spaces and fix it before they gave it back to us. So I would have done a Twitter Space earlier today, but I couldn't. And it really pissed me off, and I was really mad at Elon. But I did, give it a second. I gave it a little time for it to resolve. And of course, Spaces eventually came back. So first things second, or second things third. I will be streaming on Rock a lot tonight, basically catching everything up and taking a look at some things and stuffs. We have some good video clips. We've got some good topics to hit, so keep an eye out, because if you want to stop by, give the stream a like, that would be awesome. And if you want to hang out and actually watch the stream, that'd be even better. So this stream is the continuation to some extent from the stream of yesterday. And I just want a historical record really fast put to a Twitter live or a Twitter space so that we have it historialized for the future to basically go against any gaslighting or lying or bullshitting that will come. So last night we talked about a very vile and abhorrent subject because we kind of had to. It was ironic because it was the full circle kind of thing. Back in 2019, when a lot of shit kicked off, this happened, and it was a big event in fracturing a big community into smaller communities that would eventually coalesce and then grow back into bigger communities than they were before. And that event, had to do with Warden. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to bring up what Warden did. I'm not going to bring up the victim or anything like that tonight, outside of a couple statements. And this will be short because I got to prep the stream. So basically, last night, we all talked and gave our opinions. And Sokka and Spackle and Navy came in, which was awesome. And we all kind of just tried to think of what the logical thing to do here and the best thing to do here was. And it hinged on the backbone of, very quickly, essentially, a man did something horrible and had a bunch of subscribers and was brought into our community, and we were told that he was innocent, he was honorable, he was ethical, and we were unethical shitlords. It was really the first time we were ever called that if we stood up against the bad guy, or if we spoke against the bad guy. Now, mind you, this is a completely different scenario. Back then, we were allowed to give our opinions on things, okay? This shit, this thing that you've seen in the forefront, where there's this little cult of people that'll go around lying about anything that happens and trolling and just bullshitting and stealing money and doing all the things they do. It was in the shadows before basically they were exposed. And last night, what I was trying to say at the end of the discussion was that the event that started them to be exposed was community-wise. I wasn't talking specifically about a specific creator. What we had is a bigger creator and smaller creators trying to start a community, whether people will kind of admit that or not. And when they decided that they were going to start this thing where something happens, everybody out there checks the evidence, they see what happens, We all maybe give our opinion or we don't. But if you go look at what this little cult of people say, they all lie about what happened, regardless of how many times you put the evidence in front of them. And the thing that really sucked about the whole scenario, as you all know, was they were lying about something this serious. They even showed us that they were willing to use those dishonest tactics over something as serious as this. And so their whole argument that, bro, we're not really doing anything wrong because this is the internet. We can lie. We can run fraud raisers because if they're dumb enough to give us money, then that's their fault, not mine, and yada, yada. All their arguments about how there's no damage or no issue was 3 years ago erased over this thing. And of course, because they lie and because they aren't honest, that's where the first secret evidence claim, as you all know, that's where the first he's innocent, we promise, you just have to trust us thing. And now with this thing happening yesterday, as you all know, it proves that we, the people that have been pushing against this whole trust us or we promise or secret evidence, and we've been pushing against that, as you all know, for a long time from anyone that does it. And we've been vindicated, we've been validated by the fact that what they said was not true. It was checked by the most high standard that we have in our society right now, legally, as you know, scientifically, legally. It was checked by that standard, and the end piece was, as you know, that they had not told the truth. And it showed the reason why you shouldn't go around lying, doing fraud raisers, supporting bad people, supporting doxers. All these things that we've criticized links into this whole thing, not because we wanted it to or not because we made that way, but because, as you all know, of what we talked about yesterday. Now, you know that at the end of the stream, I looked at the clock and I said, shit, you know what? It's kind of unfair of me to judge them for not coming out and saying something about this today when it's not even midnight yet. And at the end of the stream, I went ahead and said, fuck it, I'll give them till midnight. But I didn't just give them till midnight. I gave them till noon. And when I tried to go live on Twitter Spaces earlier, I had to give them until now. And I checked right before I came in here. I asked around before I came in here. I made sure that I wasn't missing anything and it wasn't just my eyes or me checking. They have not said a single word about Warden's conviction. They haven't updated their audience on any form, not a community post, not a tweet, nothing. They are still defending this man, keeping secret the knowledge and the things that he's done that's horrible and bad like this. And as you all know, there's only one of them who's even said anything, and that was in response to me or Menace or someone saying something. So very quickly, I'm going to go ahead and be nice enough to, only because I couldn't do it last night and only because I couldn't do it earlier today, I want to give you that final little thing just to show you what they did, okay? So their representative, after talking to her lobster god, went out and challenged Shin to a debate, right? Basically, we predicted they would do that they would try and start some drama or link this whole thing to YouTube drama, distract and all that. And before doing that, though, they tweeted over and over and over underneath, of course, where Menace said something or Spackle or someone in the thread that was there about this. They tweeted that I was the one basically bringing on a person onto my platform and supporting everything they do and lying for them and all that. And they lied to everybody. They took what their god, their lobster god, was doing and lied and tried to act like that's what I was doing, when it can be fact-checked. The two things can be fact-checked. This thing about me supporting Kyle when or after he slapped his boyfriend, or I don't know what they're trying to say, but basically, it's not true. It's just bullshit. And what I mean is, based on what they typed, They're basically taking how everyone feels logically, provably towards the lobster, and they're trying to say that's what I'm doing or something. They have no logic or backing. They've got no examples or links. They also logged into some sock accounts, came in underneath some of the tweets that I put out yesterday and said things like, but all you do is lie on your platform and shit like that. And when I asked them to link to the lies, of course, they didn't. So, or anything. So again, they are just mad and they're trolling. But there is one thing that the Lobster King did do that I can bring up. And that is, just to inform you, we're not talking about this or anything like that, but just to inform you of what they decided to do instead of any of the things we asked them to. They decided they wouldn't talk about Warden. Now remember, the last thing that they've put out about Warden is that he has secret evidence, he's innocent, that they checked all the court papers and all the records. We've shown proof of every piece of this. We've had everyone from the community come in and basically give their take and describe what they saw and what happened. We haven't had them even challenge it. They haven't even said it's not true, and they haven't because they can't. Now, what they decided to do, though, is have their last take to their audience on all their platforms to be that he's innocent, and that after he has acknowledged to his messenger, his mouthpiece, this situation, so he knows about it. He's been able to post, tweet, stream, or do whatever he wants. And instead of doing any of that, he listened to our stream, our Twitter live from yesterday. And as he listened, he went in, and when we brought up what Truth Sleuth did, which I did very early in it, when we brought up what Red's Rhetoric did, which I did pretty early in it, while he was listening to it, he would go and tweet. And what did those tweets say? Well, the one about Red's Rhetoric said, Red's is one of the best people and most honest people I've ever known, exclamation point. And then, by the time Truth Sleuth would have came up, he posted, I am the biggest fan of Truth Sleuth's content, while tagging them, of course. No, I'm not joking. This is literally what he did. He heard all of our criticisms. He heard what we were saying. He knows about the conviction. He knows he was wrong. He knows what he put out. He knows he misled everybody. He knows he defended this guy. This whole time we've been saying, you are engaging in rape apologetics because you're defending this guy, and his response was, no, I'm not. I've seen the evidence. He's innocent, and he said one of his excuses was he hasn't been charged. Now that he's been charged, and they are continuing their game, it is absolute. It has backed and proven the people who came out, Doc Fiona, Spackle, Sokka, all these people that came out, it's backed and proven what they said. And basically, they're still using these basic tactics to, keep their opinion out there. They want their audience not to know that this happened. They want them to still think that they were right and that there was secret. If they find out, they're going to know they were misled, they were lied to. It's very easy to come to that conclusion. Once you realize that the only person out there that was saying these things was obviously, the only person out there saying these things, putting these things out there about his secret evidence was Warden and one other person. You all know who that is. So there's your update. And since Navy and Menace just came in, I'm going to say this really quick, and I'm going to do it in a mod meeting right after this and a stream right after that. So if you guys are available, make sure you jump in. So I brought up before you guys got in here that EKC has taken what her God is doing by having him on and defending him and defending the R's and those things, which we've put out absolute evidence that that's the case. And she's lying to her audience and the entire internet, saying that he didn't do that. All he did was have him on his show, and we're lying. And she has come out to say that I, in fact, did what he did with Kyle. So they're bringing Kyle into this. They're trying to divert attention to him. And, of course, they've done nothing but attack Katie and tweet things about Katie's kids. So in between the lobster god, while he was listening to our stream from our video, Twitter space from last night, posting when we talk about Red's Rhetoric. Red's Rhetoric is the most honorable man I know. When we bring up Truth Sleuth is the best creator and I love her content. And these are real tweets. He also was retweeting things that were targeting Katie's child and Katie and just being disgusting towards them. I'll give you an example. One of the things they are using to attack Katie while he's having his angry fit over our stream was something to do with Katie giving her son germs and therefore being a bad mother. No joke. She must have coughed or sneezed near him, and they're trying to use the kid's illness, and they're trying to use the fact that she did that to say that she's a bad mom and she's exposing her kid to stuff. That's more important, attacking Katie's son and attacking Katie, than correcting all the lies and bullshit that he said about Warden. And thank God that that's what they're doing. I think they think we're going to have a different reaction to this than I'm going to have. And just since there's actually people in here and you couldn't hear what I said in the beginning, at the end of the stream last night, remember I gave them till midnight. I said, I'll wait till midnight. But that was unfair, and I realized that after the stream. So I was going to give them till around noon today, and I was going to do a Twitter space. But unfortunately, Elon's Twitter space was allowing banned accounts to join spaces, so they had to take down spaces, fix it, and re-put them up. And so I couldn't do this space until now. And basically, this space is just to let people know, my final take on it, at least, after, giving them a chance to actually come out and talk about this or whatever. And again, if they want to post something to the community tab, let people know they were wrong about Warden and they're going to do a stream on it in 2 days or something, I'd be fine with that. And I would withhold judgment until then. The fact that they are, instead of, they are listening to our space from last night while trying to propagandize their viewership through the posts they're putting out and the narratives they're running in Discord servers and other places, it does show that of course we were right. And again, I was saying my final point, and I'll shut up and see if Navy wants to say anything, and then we can jump out of here and go to a mod meeting. But my final point, of course, is that I'm happy that they decide to act this way. I'm not happy that it had to be over this topic, but I mean, them doing this, I begged them to just think of the, issue at hand and do the right thing. Don't even care about any of us. Don't even care about anyone else. Keep your word, because these people will come out and they'll tell you that they are, they always go back and fix anything that they got wrong, right? And if you can't go back and fix this kind of thing, that you've gotten this wrong, caused this much issue and damage from it, and you held to it as hard as you did, and you can't stand the test and actually just take 30 seconds to go tell everybody what's up, then it proves to everyone that when we were trying to warn people about this group of people, the things we said that they did, the things that we tried to tell people that they do to try to defame me, defame Menace, defame anyone they don't, that they're mad at, they've proven us right through what they've done. And that's just factual. This is the thing where that no one can argue there will ever be an issue greater than this involving the communities and the things that led to the old communities being what they are now, which I'm very thankful for. We have grown a lot. We went from having a couple thousand subs on our live channel up to 5,000 some, and these are people that are actively coming in and looking at our stuff. It's very awesome, and I'm real thankful for it. What I would wish that they would also move on. They would also do some form of content. I don't want to be right that they are incel-like, are apologist harassers of women who accuse them of sexual harassment, but that's another layer here. This does show they don't take these issues seriously. These issues aren't on a list of the things to take seriously by these people. And in fact, we have proven through their response and reactions that this issue is on their list of things to use for YouTube drama, for money, to attack their enemies, to try to stir content. These things cannot be argued. All right? I mean, someone could try. The evidence is overwhelming at this point. I'm always willing to let somebody attempt to argue something, right? And I would. But the evidence is overwhelming. You're getting into the territory of flat earth and these other kind of things when you, if you try to go against it, right? But, of course, I don't want to have a singular opinion or narrative or thought. Navy, this is in regards to, you know, giving them an opportunity to,
Right.
what are you thinking, man? What is your take here? And I know you just...
Well, there's always an aspect where you can come out and own up to your mistakes. Everybody does it, right? And good people will admit when they were wrong, own up to their mistakes. The problem is with these guys is that they have a propensity. It hurts them so much. It hurts their ego so much. It's such a narcissistic blow to say that they were wrong. They would rather double down on supporting
this. Yes, evil. I just don't want to get too...
Then they would, you know, admit, no, I fucked up. You know, I'm sorry, and you know, I'm going to move on from this. And it's just horrible. But it needs. And here's the thing I will say: it doesn't need to be harped on for years, but it needs to be called out. It needs to be brought to light, and it needs to be shut down. Yeah. And then we need to move on to something. Move on to something else. But yeah, that's what I think about it.
And I agree with you, absolutely. You know, it's one of those things that if you would have asked me a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, a month ago, a week ago, if you would have said, listen, if they ended up being wrong on this thing, which was their biggest cult tactic scenario, secret everything that they used to lie on anyone was generated, formed, and shown to the public when they started doing it to this subject, you know, back in July of 19 or August of 19. I think it was August. No, it was June, I think. Doc Fiona knew.
July. It was July when we had him on.
Okay. So again, what I want people out there to hear, the people that actually care about the truth and maybe weren't around then, you can go back into that time frame and look around at the channels that uploaded things, and you'll find a debate between Red's Rhetoric and a guy named Science First, who was one of the first people to come out and challenge them immediately that what they were doing was wrong. And they had a formal debate. And literally the debate was, is the lobster a rape apologist? I'm not even playing. And it was pretty shocking because right after they did that debate, and I'm really glad things went that way, is when the proof was shown, it came out. The thing, they were used to being able to delete things, hide things, and lie about things and getting away with it every time. This is back before anyone knew what they were doing. And they did try to do that with this subject. This was the first real subject that their deleted tweets, their deleted comments, and the video clips that they tried to hide actually came back to haunt them. And it started the trend of archiving what they do, which eventually killed their entire community and exposed the fraud raisers and everything else that happened. So just for people that may want to say, hey, I want to fact check you on any of this, I'd love to see a YouTuber go back and pull some of those things, react to parts of them that are relevant, and then upload it and say like, hey, damn, this is what's up. But you don't have to. It's all there. I mean, someone could. Probably be a waste of time because videos are there. You got to remember that back then, there were people that were, you know, making thousands of dollars a month, multiple people off of these tactics, using these tactics to protect what they were doing. And it wasn't really known about the extent of the scamming because everybody assumed that shit wouldn't happen in a science community, right? And it really wasn't a lesson on how far people will go, how depraved they'll be, and how much you do have to keep fact checking, even in places where you don't think that you would assume somebody wouldn't be doing that kind of stuff. But anyway, that's it. There it is. Oh, one more question for Navy and we can go. And this might be a little selfish to bring up me, right? But I've had to deal with them lying about me and trying to turn, what they do is try to turn everybody they meet or anyone that I interact with or anyone that comes on my show. They try to turn them against me. And if that won't happen, they turn them into a liar and all these things, right? Can you say that I've accurately described that, Navy? Because I think I have.
Yeah. Well, because they do, it's twofold. Either you're friends with somebody they don't like or you disagree with them. Magically, you don't have an opposing view, you're a troll.
Okay, good. So I've dealt with them literally, like when I exposed, I've never ran a fraud raiser ever on my channel, but when I exposed their first fraud raiser, Rhetoric's fraud raiser, he went out and posted to his audience, his active audience, that I had ran like 5 fraud raisers. And of course, they were used to him doing science content, and they believed him. They didn't think he would just come out and lie like that. Of course, they learned very quickly, and it did destroy his entire channel and all of his pool, and he had to go into hiding for years. Because if he tried to come to YouTube, people would give him a lot of shit over all the lies and the how he tried to wield them by lying to them against his enemies. They didn't like it. It was disrespectful. It was wrong. Anyway, what I'm trying to tell you is that is still happening. So I don't want to hear any shit about any of the times I came out and told people that they do this as a group. They work together to do this against people. They go sit down. They come up with what they're going to do to try to defend themselves, and they defame and smear others. They try to pick people that they think won't fight back with lawsuits, or they won't be able to respond due to a sexual harassment allegation, whatever it may be. And they're doing that right now with this situation. They're lying and saying that I'm doing what they're doing straight out of the lobster's mouth. And they're trying to just slander and libel, or whatever you want to say, defame me, to say that that's what I'm doing. So they're trying to take this issue where the only thing anyone wants them to do, leave all the bullshit out of it and just go correct yourself where you said that this atrocious thing didn't happen to this infant. Because they did. Or these women, because they did. That's all we asked. Their response is, no, that's what Uni's doing. He's supporting domestic violence. He's lying to all of you to try to convince you that we're supporting the rape and of these separate people. And they, of course, they have no evidence. They have no proof. They have no clips. They have no, anything. But that's what they're doing. They're attempting that defense. So the last thing that they control on, they've decided, instead of just taking 30 seconds to go to their channels and just say, guys, listen, this motherfucker fooled me. Shouldn't have believed him. Don't believe him. I'm out. They could have done that even. It would be better than nothing. But instead, they've chose to keep the narrative of the fact that he's innocent and all the things that we showed you that they said, but take it a step further and attempt to project the, the exposingness, to project the loss of credibility, or loss of street cred, or loss of YouTube cred. They're trying to project that onto me, obviously. And this whole time I've been saying that's what they've been doing. That's how they operate, right? I don't even think it was that long ago they were trying to push a narrative. And now everyone knows why. The minute that Nat popped up, I put up this wall and said, I'm not talking to her at all. I will not interact with her. If you see her, ban her. She is not allowed around here. And then I said, anyone who testifies in these lawsuits is not allowed around here. I won't talk to any of them. And I maintained that. But of course, as you know, because they got exposed for working with her and busted for it, they're trying to project that onto myself, or maybe they even said it about Navy and others. I don't know. I only saw a few examples and I didn't care to hear it out. So the point in the end is that when the irony here is, the most litigious, the people that are the most quick to try and use anything but evidence and proof and logic to represent why they're doing what they're doing, or what they've done, or what's going on. and instead want you to trust them, there's a reason why they have to have you trust them. There's a reason. And it's because they're trying to fool you, unfortunately. And I just want to make sure that, you know, this covers the entire base, because it does. Any objection to that, Navy? I mean, this does exercise all those points, the fact of them doing this, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the fact that, I'm sorry, but like, you know, I can understand when certain people have come out and tried to play down certain things because they wanted to protect their friend or their synth lord master, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yep.
But this, I mean, once again, they sit there and said they can't get any worse, they can't get any cringier, and they're like, hold my fucking lobster roll, and let's go ahead and compare. You know, they say, oh, who cares about this like most evil act ever compared to the fact that this happened? Like, really? What the fuck is wrong with you people? Like, seriously, there is something wrong with you.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good thing that they've chosen to bring their normal projection tactic, their normal lie tactic, their normal, we didn't do that, that's what our enemies are doing. And when people are like, how? They all were the ones who you turned into shitlords for objecting to all of this. This is what started it. So how are they doing it when there's years of recordings and instances of them being not okay with it and literally standing against it? So that's not working this time. Like, that's the one benefit. Now they've decided, I guess they just were too dumb to realize that if they chose that path in this scenario, that it would fully expose them even to the hardest lobstered people there. But at least that's happening, and at least they're showing that, you know, because people like Truth Sleuth, we'll use her as an example, since, you know, he's for some reason trying to tag her and get her to come in and defend him, and good thing she wouldn't. At least when I looked, she hadn't. For her, I mean, because I mean that you don't come back from those kind of things. But the point is,
from today, did he tag her today?
Yeah. So basically, he watched our space, and while he was watching it, when he heard me bring up Truth Sleuth, he would put out a tweet and say, "Truth Sleuth's my favorite creator. She's so honest, and I love her." When we brought up Red's Rhetoric, Reds is the most ethical, honest person. It's like he was on auto repeat in fear from listening to our Twitter space from yesterday. And you can go look and see that he put these things out and, you know, just decided to bring up the things. He brought up a lot of the concepts that we talked about, but he applied his propaganda to it and he was just that panicked about people out there, you know, realizing what we were talking about. He knew what we're saying is true. He knew how bad this is for him, and he doesn't know how to handle it. His head broke. He just started having sparks fly out of his ears. You know, he already cut off his flaps so they couldn't spin. He couldn't helicopter through the roof, so it just like literally does not compute. He just started going on, you know, robot tweeting, you know, trying to make himself feel better or something. You can go look, man. It's fucking sick. I was like, holy shit, when I saw it, because at first I'm like, no, he didn't. And then when I looked, I'm like, oh my God, it's true. So
that's crazy.
Anyway, yeah, like I said, the whole thing with Warden's over and done forever. It's done. We'll never hear about him again. Thank God. And, you know, this big open wound out there where people were forced to stand against what Warden did and draw a line in the sand like, no, motherfucker, you're not going to lie and you're not going to keep me in a community where this is the kind of things you say and do. You know, that's all been closed. Thank God. So I just really think that, you know how it is. We have to come in and at least put this little final saying out, because I do think that we're going to see not him or anything, but some of his peons running out there and here in a few months and attempting to, you know, lie about this. And, you know, all you really need is that record, is that archive of what really happened. And then people will be able to hear it. It can be shared if they try to lie about it. And then as they're listening, they can pause and then go fact check certain pieces if they need to, so that they see and know who's telling the truth and what really happened. So We have accomplished that goal, and now we need a mod meeting. So let's roll.